Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions. Grab a seat. Because what happened at that party wasn't just awkward. It was historic. She wore red. I still don't know if that was irony or strategy. Either way, the moment I walked into the room, with his wife holding my hand, Natalie froze mid-laugh, wine glass halfway to her lips. You could have heard her heart drop between the beats of the dance music. People turned. Conversations paused. And I had just smiled. It took exactly 11 minutes for the entire event to fall apart. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind, not to some cheesy love story beginning, but to last Thursday. I was scrubbing spaghetti off the kitchen backsplash, don't ask, when I noticed Natalie's phone vibrating on the counter. Again, face down. Third time that hour. I don't usually snoop. Honestly, I've always been the don't invade privacy guy. But when your wife has more text chemistry with her phone than with your actual existence, things shift. I tapped the screen. A preview lit up. Rhodes, I can still feel you on me. I can't wait until Saturday. Saturday. This Saturday. The night she said she had a corporate cocktail event for senior staff only. She even made a big deal about how boring it would be. Said I'd hate the crowd. Turns out, she was half right. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I did what any emotionally repressed husband would do. I vacuumed the living room in silence, then quietly texted someone I never thought I'd reach out to. Hi, I believe your husband is seeing my wife. I have screenshots. I don't want drama. I just want to talk. Her name was Lila, Rhodes' wife. She replied within minutes. I know. Let's ruin their night. That's when the plan began. Lila met me at a 24-hour diner just off Highway 9. She walked in like she already knew the answer to every question I hadn't dared ask my wife. No makeup, ponytail, wearing one of those oversized sweatshirts that says Dog Mom across the front. But her eyes? Her eyes were made of fire. She slid into the booth across from me without saying a word, pulled out her phone, and dropped it on the table. Let me guess, she said, tapping through a folder labeled screenshots. Your wife calls him Rhodesy too? I nodded, barely able to look at the images flashing on the screen, texts, selfies, heart emojis, a blurry hotel lobby pic that made my stomach twist into a pretzel. Lila looked at me, no pity in her voice. I've known for 2 months, she said. I didn't say anything. I wanted to see how far they'd take it. That hit me harder than I expected. 2 months? And she just watched? I asked her why. Because I wanted to break them like they broke us, she said, matter of fact. And now I have you. So we're going to do this properly. I'd never been part of a plan before. I'm the guy who apologizes when someone bumps into me at the store. But there I was, sipping lukewarm coffee with a woman who looked ready to declare psychological warfare. She told me Rhodes and Natalie were both attending a private launch party Saturday night for a new client. It was invitation only. She already had her name on the list. +1, she asked. I hesitated. You don't even have to speak, she added, smirking. Just stand there. Let her see you. That'll be enough. It sounded insane. But something inside me, something humiliated and tired of swallowing pride, said yes. We spent the next 2 days crafting the perfect entrance. Wardrobe, timing, body language. We weren't just going to walk in. We were going to walk in like truth incarnate. And for the first time in months, I felt like I wasn't drowning in silence anymore. I was finally doing something. Something that might actually hurt her the way she quietly destroyed me. Saturday arrived like a countdown clock ticking in my chest. I spent the whole day pacing. Rehearsing. Not lines, just emotions. How do you prepare to watch your wife melt under the weight of her own betrayal? Lila picked me up at 7:12 p.m. sharp. She wore a black jumpsuit with gold cuffs, like some kind of battle-ready queen. I was less impressive, borrowed blazer, old cologne I hadn't worn since our wedding. My palms wouldn't stop sweating. She glanced over as we pulled up to the venue, a rooftop hotel lounge overlooking the skyline. You sure you're ready for this? She asked. No, I answered honestly. But let's do it anyway. The party was in full swing. A string quartet played near the bar, and servers carried tiny plates with food no one could pronounce. I recognized several people from Natalie's company, people I'd seen in photos on her phone, people who always looked like they lived in some shinier world. And then, I saw her. Natalie stood near the balcony, laughing too hard at something Rhodes was whispering in her ear. She wore the same red dress from our anniversary dinner, the one she said was too fancy to wear again. My heart cracked right there. Because suddenly I knew she'd saved it for him. Lila squeezed my arm and whispered, "Now." We didn't storm in. We glided. Rhodes saw us first. His grin faltered, eyes widening as he noticed who I was. Then who was beside me. He muttered something to Natalie, who turned casually, mid-laugh, and froze. She blinked once. Then again. Her jaw hung slightly open. For a second, I thought she was going to faint. Her hand clutched her wine glass like a lifeline. Rhodes took a step back. Lila didn't break stride. She walked right up to Natalie, took a champagne flute from a passing tray, and held it up. "To the ones who thought they could lie forever," she said loudly enough for the nearest circle of guests to hear. Turns out, secrets hate the spotlight. Gasps. A few chuckles. One woman awkwardly choked on her drink. Natalie stammered something, but I didn't wait to hear it. I locked eyes with her, nodded once, and let the silence hang like a guillotine. And then I turned away. That's when everything started to unravel. I didn't look back. That was the hardest part. Every muscle in me wanted to turn, to see her reaction, to hear her explanation, even if it was a lie wrapped in tears. But I didn't. I followed Lila straight through the crowd like we were on stage and the curtain had just dropped. We reached the bar, ordered 2 waters, and sat down like nothing had happened. But behind us, chaos bloomed like spilled ink. I heard Natalie's voice break through the chatter, strained, sharp, desperate. She called my name. Twice. Then a third time, louder, like she wanted the whole city to hear. I didn't respond. Lila placed her hand over mine and whispered, "Don't give her the show she wants." That's when Rhodes stormed over. No longer suave. He looked like a man whose double life had just been slapped into the open air. His eyes darted between us and then locked on Lila. "What the hell are you doing?" he hissed. Lila didn't blink. "Exposing you. You're welcome." He scoffed, glanced at me, and said something under his breath that I couldn't hear. I stood up slowly, my knees shaking under the weight of every bottled-up emotion from the past year. I thought about punching him. I really did. But instead, I reached into my jacket, pulled out a sealed envelope, and handed it to him. "Legal copy of the messages," I said quietly. "So your lawyer doesn't have to dig." His face went pale. Before he could speak, Natalie appeared at his side like a shadow late to catch up. Her voice quivered. "Elle, please. Just talk to me." She touched my arm and I flinched. "I've begged you to talk to me for months," I said. "You chose someone else. You don't get to summon me now." People were watching. Phones were out. I saw flashes. Whispers spread faster than the music could drown them. Natalie looked like she wanted the floor to crack open and swallow her whole. And for a moment, I wanted to let her fall. But then Lila stood and said something I didn't expect. "We're leaving." And just like that, we turned and walked out together. 2 broken people with nothing left to lose and more truth in our silence than they ever had in their affair. But that wasn't the end. The fallout? That was still coming. By the time I got home that night, it felt like someone else had lived through the past 3 hours. I stood in the hallway of our apartment for a full minute, staring at the framed photo of Natalie and me from a trip to Asheville 3 years ago. We were on a hiking trail, covered in sweat, grinning like idiots. I remember taking that photo. I remember thinking, this woman is my forever. That photo's still on the floor now, cracked frame and all. I didn't break it in anger. It just slipped when I tried to take it down. I didn't even react when the glass shattered. Natalie didn't come home that night. I thought maybe she'd give me space. Turns out she went to her sister's. I know because her sister texted me. Something generic like, "She's really shaken up. Maybe just talk?" I didn't respond. I didn't trust myself to. But by morning, Natalie had filled my inbox with voicemails, texts, even a calendar invite titled, "Please, talk to me." That one stung the most. A calendar invite? After 9 years of marriage? I ignored her. Then came the call from HR. Not mine, hers. Apparently Rhodes and Natalie were both placed on leave pending a formal review. Someone at the party had forwarded footage from the confrontation. It had already made the rounds internally. You know what they say? Truth spreads faster when it's finally allowed to breathe. By Wednesday, the company's PR team was issuing private statements to clients. I didn't even feel satisfaction, just emptiness. And that night, Natalie showed up at my door. No makeup, puffy eyes. Holding a bag of my favorite takeout like this was some poorly written rom-com. "Elwood," she said softly, "can we talk?" I let her in. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to look her in the face and see if any of it had been real. She sat across from me on the same couch where we'd once spent entire Sundays binge-watching shows and debating plot twists. Now we were just one. "Elle," she said, voice trembling, "I messed up. But I didn't stop loving you. Not once. I was just lost." That word again. Lost. As if she had wandered off emotionally like a child in a supermarket. I stared at her. "Then why didn't you try to find your way back before handing your heart to someone else?" She had no answer. And that's when I realized I wasn't the one who'd been lost. She was. And maybe still is. Natalie stayed for over an hour that night. Not because I asked her to. Because she kept talking. Spilling every detail I never wanted to hear, yet couldn't stop listening to. The first time it happened. The weekend trip she lied about. How it started as harmless flirting and somehow became a secret world where I didn't exist. She used phrases like, "I didn't plan for this," and "I never thought I'd cross that line." Every sentence sounded like a script from a forum for cheaters who still want to seem like victims. I just sat there, still, quiet, watching her unravel. The food she brought got cold. Neither of us touched it. When she finally stopped talking, the silence between us felt louder than her confession. I stood up, walked to the bookshelf, and pulled out an old photo album. One of the early ones, back when we still printed memories instead of storing them in clouds. I handed it to her. She flipped through pages of camping trips, birthdays, blurry Polaroids from when we couldn't afford a decent phone camera. Her hand shook. "Do you see him?" I asked. She looked up, confused. "Who?" "Me. The man in those pictures. The man who tried. The one who stayed loyal while you started living two lives." Tears filled her eyes. She nodded slowly. "That man," I said, voice barely holding steady, "doesn't exist anymore. And the woman he loved burned with him." She left quietly that night. No more speeches. No more excuses. Just a soft, "I'm sorry" at the door, like it was supposed to fix something. But it didn't end there. The next morning, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Rhodes. "You made your point. Can we talk?" I almost laughed. Talk. I didn't reply, but I wasn't done either. Because if there's one thing betrayal teaches you, it's how to dig. And when I did, I uncovered something Natalie never told me. Something that would take everything I thought I knew and tear it wide open. I don't know what made me do it. Boredom, obsession, spite. Maybe all three. But something pushed me to log into our old shared cloud account the next morning. It had been mostly dead for years. A forgotten vault of receipts, travel itineraries, scanned documents. But something about it felt unfinished. I scrolled aimlessly for a while. Folders labeled taxes, honeymoon, vet records. Then I saw one titled Consulting_2023. That struck me as odd. Natalie had never worked in consulting. I opened it. Inside were PDFs, meeting notes, travel logs, invoices billed to a company I'd never heard of. And hidden between them, a folder titled Referrals. My gut clenched before I even clicked. It was filled with names, contacts, women, all with notes beside them, coded, but not coded well enough. At the bottom of the list, my wife's initials. I sat back, heart pounding. This wasn't just an affair. Rhodes wasn't just another guy in a suit. He was running something. A network. A disgusting one. And Natalie, whether knowingly or not, was involved. My hands were shaking as I copied everything to a flash drive. I didn't fully understand what I was seeing, but I knew one thing. It went beyond betrayal. This was manipulation. Exploitation. A pipeline of people who thought they were getting ahead in their careers, while Rhodes played puppet master. And Natalie? Her notes were detailed. Too detailed. She wasn't a victim. She was recruiting. I called Lila. We met that evening at the same diner. She didn't cry. Didn't shout. Just stared at the screen, brows furrowing tighter with every scroll. "I had no idea," she whispered. "I thought he was just a dirtbag." "He is," I said. "But she's not innocent either." We sat in silence for a while. Then she looked up at me, voice cold and clear. "So what do we do now?" That was the moment we both realized. This wasn't about broken hearts anymore. It was about justice. And it wasn't over. Not even close. We didn't go to the police yet. First, we went to Rhodes Company's legal team. Quietly. Lila had access to internal contacts, and I had the files. We weren't looking for money. We wanted consequences. Real ones. Within 2 weeks, Rhodes had resigned for personal reasons. and Natalie's name quietly vanished from all upcoming contracts and events. She wasn't just out of a job. She was out of the inner circle she fought so hard to belong to. She showed up at my door again after that. Not to fight, not to beg, just to stand there, hands trembling, and ask, "Do you hate me?" I didn't answer right away. I looked at her and realized. I didn't. I just didn't care anymore. "I don't hate you," I said, "but I don't see you the same. And I never will." She nodded. I think she already knew. A week later, I filed the papers. Freedom didn't come like a sunrise. It came slowly, one breath at a time. One honest conversation. One day without checking her location. One dinner I cooked just for myself, with music on in the background and no tension in the air. And strangely, it was enough. Lila and I stayed in touch. Not romantically, just as two people who had walked through fire and come out clean on the other side. Last month, she sent me a postcard from New Mexico. Said she was hiking, rebuilding, rediscovering. I smiled when I read it. As for me, I started painting again, something I gave up years ago because Natalie said it wasn't productive. Turns out, it's the most healing thing I've ever done. So yeah, I lost a marriage, but I found myself. And honestly, that's a better trade than I ever could have imagined. Thanks for watching this episode of Reddit Confessions. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have walked away quietly or made your entrance like I did? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Your voice matters here. Until next time.